Once upon a time, in a land at the edge of the world, there was a king who had 3 sons. The king's brother, Green Emperor, had 3 daughters, and his kingdom was located on the other side of the world. The emperor and the king hadn't seen each other in many years. The Green Emperor, being old, wrote a letter to the king asking him to send the most worthy of his grandsons to take his place as emperor. The king called his sons to him and say, "Which of you feels worthy to rule over a kingdom like this? He has my blessing to go and fulfill your grandfather's will." The oldest son said that the honor should belong to him, because he is the eldest son. The king told him to go welcome. After that, the son asked for what he needed, kissed his father's hand, and set off towards the empire. The king wanted to test his son's bravery, so he dressed in a bear's pelt, mounted his horse, took a different path, and his under a bridge. From there, he emerged ahead of his son and growled as loudly as he plowed. Unable to control the frightened horse anymore, the king's eldest son returned home ashamed. The king gave his son a lecture, and the middle son, seeing this, said he would go instead. The king told him that he was allowed to go, so the son took what he needed and set off on his journey. When he reached the bridge, the story repeated: the bear came out from under the bridge and scared him. He returned home ashamed. The youngest son, feeling ashamed of his brother's experience, went outside into the garden. As he was lost in thought, an old woman came to him and said, "I would make you emperor." The king's son thought it over and went to his father, saying,
"Let me try my luck too, father," said the son, after which he asked the king for the weapons and clothes he wore at the wedding. The king, not knowing why he asked for all these things, gave them to him.
He took the weapons and clothes, took care of them, put on, and went to the stable to pick a weak horse, its ribs showing. But he went to the trough and took a sip of mash, and then a miracle happened. The horse shook 3 times and became a beautiful stallion, and like any other. He set off on his journey, and when he reached the bridge, the bear appeared. The horse charged at it, and when the son raised his mace to strike, he heard his father's voice. The king kissed his youngest son and advised him to beware of the red man. After blessing him, they set off. They walked for a day, 2, even 40-9. Then they entered a forest where a bald man crossed their path. The man asked him if he needed a servant for the journey, and the young man replied that maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but he would leave. He walked a little further, and once again the bald man appeared, now dressed in fine clothes, and with a changed voice, he asked the same question, and the son continued on his way, wandering through the forest. In the forest, he encountered another bald man, so he had no choice but to take him with him, as he was lost. They set off together, and after some time, they stopped at the well to drink water. The bald man went into the well first, and when he came out, he told the boy to enter as well, since it was very hot outside, and advised him to cool off. As the young man entered the well, the bald man closed the lip on top of it. The bald man asked him where he was going, and the young man told him the whole story. The bald man took the place of the emperor's grandsons, and became his servant. The bald man gave him name Harap-Alper. When they arrived at the empire, the emperor welcomed the bald man with all the honor of a king's son and a future emperor. As for Harap-Alper, the bald man sent him to the stables to take care of the horses and feed them. The horse told Harap-Alper to get on it, and when Harap-Alper climbed on, the horse took him to a small, dilapidated house. Harap-Alper entered, and inside was the very old woman from the garden of the castle. Before meeting the old woman, with her name, Saint Sunday, the bald man had sent Harap-Alper to gather some lettuce from the bear's garden. So, when the old woman heard about this, she gathered a handful of sleeping herbs, boiled them in sweet milk with honey, and